Hey house kids, welcome to today's Big Brother 18 updates and spoilers. I just thought of something really funny. But anyway, our house kids of the day is Louis Balancio. Yay! Louis has been watching our videos for the longest time, and we are so thankful because you're awesome. And if you guys want to be awesome like Louis and support us on Patreon, check out our link in the info box below. You could be house kids of the day. Okay, so yesterday, let's get a quick little recap. Yesterday, Bridgette nominated Paul and Tiffany for eviction. They had the roadkill competition, which Frank won. He's 2 for 3 now. And let's jump in there. So after the competition, Frank told everyone about his win, except for the Spy Girls, Tiffany, and Paul. So he also told them that he's going to be nominating Bronte, and if she wins the power veto or somebody else saves her, he's just going to put up Natalie. Alright, so nothing crazy there. So Paulie is still upset that they can't go after Frank this week. So he's already trying to come up with a plan for next week to backdoor him. So he's talking to James and Michelle, and he's like, what if I start doing something really annoying to like pretend piss everyone off, and then everyone's gonna act like they're gonna backdoor me, and we already know that Frank is talking about getting rid of me like if the opportunity arises. So he's thinking like, if Frank knows that people want to get rid of Paulie, then maybe he'll throw the HOH competition and they'll catch Frank off guard and be able to go after him next week. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. There's still plenty of time to figure something out. I don't know if that's the best plan, but sure. So let's have a Spy Girls check-in. Bronte is worried that she's going to be going up on the block because she's Bronte. No, I'm just kidding. Because, you know, it's been going through the grapevine or whatever. So at this point, the Spy Girls do not know who won Roadkill. They're suspecting maybe Paulie. They don't really think Frank. I don't know. Why do they never think Frank? He's a freaking competition beast. I mean, really. So Frank does come up in the conversation, and Bridgette's like, I really trust him. And then Bronte and Natalie are like, I don't know. Like, it kind of freaks us out that you're so close to him. They're worried that she's going to pass along information to him. She promises, like, no, I'm never going to tell him what we talk about. Yeah, okay. So then Bridgette is trying to plan out what she's going to do if the power veto is used and she needs to make a replacement nominee. So she's like, I think I'd put up Corey. Oh, snap! So we already saw that Bridgette was considering Corey as a first round nominee because she doesn't have a good relationship with him. They don't really talk. So she's thinking, yeah, I could put him up if somebody comes down, and there's a good chance that we could get rid of a guy this week. So the Spy Girls are under the impression that Bronte could be in trouble. Yeah, maybe. So they're trying to see if they can get the other girls to help them vote out one of the guys. So she's like, Paul, Corey, we'll see. Alright, so then they have the roadkill ceremony, and as expected, Frank anonymously nominated Bronte. Something just like, okay, so Bronte's up on the block. It's Bronte, Paul, and Tiffany, which is, wow, an exact repeat of last week's nominees. Isn't that freaking weird? Alright, so then James and Paulie were having a strategy chat in the London bedroom, and this was actually pretty interesting because we haven't seen the two of them one-on-one really that much. So they both acknowledge the 8-pack is pretty much blown up. It's over. It's old news. So then Paulie's like, yeah, well, what if the two of us started, like, working together or something? And James is like, yeah, people probably wouldn't suspect the two of us working together closely because, like, we're never together, blah, 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 blah. So they agree that they're not going to put each other up. They're going to look out for each other. That's, like, a pretty standard agreement, right? I mean, it's not like an official alliance, but then Paulie's like, yeah, if we can get rid of Tiffany and Frank, then we can just like coast for a long time. Paulie, come on, you've seen the show before, you know it's gonna get crazy. But then James was trying to think of like some sort of theme that they could have or something, and he's really into Gladiator, I guess, because he's like, yeah, strength and honor, and Paulie's like, I feel like people are gonna pick up on that, and then we're gonna be toast. Yeah. So then Bridgette and Bronte were chatting in the HOH room, and again, Bridgette is like, you know, I could put up Corey if the power of veto is used. I think that could really help out Bronte. But they're not sure if they'd have the votes to get rid of him, and Bridgette's a little nervous that Corey would try to retaliate the following week, and I think that is definitely a possibility. So then they were talking about the whole Frank and Day butt-slapping, disrespectful situation, and they were both disgusted by Frank's actions. Yeah, but then Bridgette was like, oh, and I just realized, like, the 3 nominees this week are 3 people that Frank said were his targets. So she's like, holy crap, Bronte could actually go home during my own HOH, and that would suck. And she's realizing that her nominations were kind of controlled by Frank and Pauly, and she doesn't want that. So she's like, girl power, like they're literally screaming, girl power. And she's like, Bronte, if I win the power veto, I'm going to use it on you. I don't care if people know we're working together. So they start getting all like riled up and like, ah, girl power. I'm not kidding. So then they're also talking about if Bronte has the opportunity to pick someone to play in the power of veto, she should pick Natalie, even though Frank was all like, pick me, pick me. And she's like, no, I'll pick Natalie. So speaking of, Natalie joins the Spy Girls in the HOH room, and they tell her that they think that Bronte's best chance of staying this week is against Paul. They don't realize right now that Tiffany is actually the target. They don't think that the votes are there to get rid of Tiffany, so that's kind of interesting. But let's put the game aside for a minute, because it's time for Spy Girl bonding time. GT! So Bronte is like, I want to tell you guys that I'm really thankful that you're here with me. I can't do the voice right now. I don't have energy for it. But she tells them, like, she came into this house with a secret, and she wasn't planning on revealing it to anyone, but she just feels so close to them, and she wants to open up to them. So she lets them know that she does not actually work in childcare. She's an aspiring mathematician, a social media no, I'm just kidding. An aspiring mathematician working on her 2nd degree, and she's telling them how she wants to work in national security one day. And you'd think their reaction would be like, oh, that's great, like, that's awesome, but they're like, oh my god! They're like jumping all over the place. They're so giddy, literally jumping around on the freaking HOH bed, screaming, yes, scream and draw attention to the HOH room. So then they go around and they're revealing secrets, and Natalie's like, oh, I wasn't telling anyone this, but I was actually an NFL cheerleader for 3 years, and I was like in the top 15 cheerleaders and blah, blah, blah. Cool story, bro. And then it gets to Bridgette, and she's just like, I don't really have any secrets. But her, like, secret, she reveals that her boyfriend's a doctor, and she doesn't want people to know that because she doesn't want them to think, like, oh, she's just gonna wifey up to some doctor so that he can pay for everything and blah, blah, blah. But she also said they've only been dating for like a month, so like, freaking get out of here. Alright, so they pinky promise not to tell anyone their secrets. Let's move on. So Frank and Nicole were chatting in the safari room. I just thought of that movie trailer again. Frank and Nicole were chatting in the safari room, and Frank is like, alright, real talk, we're gonna have to get rid of Corey and Pauly at some point. Are you gonna be okay with that? Because first of all, she's really close to Pauly because, you know, she played the game before with Cody. I was going to say Pody. Pauly and Cody put together. With Cody. So there is that kind of bond there. And also, she's got, like, something going on with Corey. So she's like, yeah, I'll be okay with it. Like, when the time comes, I'll vote him out. Like, I'm not just going to be all showmanced again this season. Honestly, though, like, from the reactions that we've seen from Nicole when there's just, like, a chance that Corey could be going up on the block, I don't see her voting him out anytime soon. But then Frank is talking about next week, and he's like, yeah, we're going to have Day and James throw the next HOH so that we can have Paul and Bronte go up on the block again and be options to be evicted. I don't think they're going to want to throw the competition. So now that Frank sees Tiffany leaving this week and like it's actually a possibility and like the plan is in motion, he's like moving on to his next thing. So now he's obsessing over Michelle. So he brings up some concerns about her. He's like, yeah, I think she could have maybe been the one vote against Bronte last week. She's way too comfortable in the 8-pack alliance right now. She's always sleeping. She brings nothing to the team. So then Frank says that he has more faith in Bridgette than in Michelle. Oh, snap. All right, that's going to come back up again later. So James and Natalie, this is actually really cute. They were chatting on the phone last night. Natalie was up in the HOH, and she called down to James. And it started out all flirty, and it was really cute. And then it moves to game talk, and I was just like, whoa. James is like, he's going there. So he's telling Natalie, like, I don't know if I should be doing this right now, but I want to build some trust with you. And she's like, yeah, I just don't want Bronte to go home this week. So James is like, well, I'm going to let you know this. Tiffany is actually the target. So Bronte just needs to lay low and, like, freaking chill. So Natalie's like, wait, what? What's going on? So then James also tells her that, well, without telling her, he leads her to guess that Frank won the roadkill competition this week. And he also reveals that Frank is the target for next week. So he's like, don't tell anyone, especially not Frank or Bridgette. Frank, for obvious reasons, like if it gets out that he's the next target, he's going to lose his crap. And then Bridgette, she probably would tell Frank. So like, don't tell them what's going on. That's going to come up again. Okay, so the have-nots got to eat again at midnight last night. So that was Davon's team, Day, Paul, and Zakiya. And Paul, like, made these burgers for everyone. And I don't know if, like, maybe they weren't cooked all the way or what. But a lot of people were feeling real sick after. Okay, so then Natalie is talking to Bronte. And it's time to spill some of that good old James info. So she lets Bronte know that she's safe this week as of right now. Tiffany's the target as long as they keep their mouths shut. So she does end up telling Bridgette the same thing later, but she does not tell them that Frank won the roadkill or that Frank is the next target. So she's just telling Bronte, like, you need to chill. Alright, so this morning we find out that Team Freakazoids are the have-nots for the week. That sucks. So Nicole, Corey, and Tiffany, they were the first team to be completely knocked out of the HOH competition. So they're first losers, and they're have-nots for the week. But the extra food, this is like not even fair. Oh my god, the extra food is popcorn and peanuts. Damn! Last week was berries. This week you got popcorn and peanuts. I would be like, I'll be a have-not. Okay, sounds good. Crazy. But good luck to Corey trying to fit in one of those bumper cars, because that's going to be rough. So this morning, Frank, he went back into a-hole mode again. So Michelle and Zakiya were in the bathroom doing their makeup, and Frank comes in, and he's telling Michelle, like, you need to try even harder to be nicer to Bridgette, because he's like, yeah, I noticed, like, you're being a little bit nicer, but you could do better. So then he tells her, you need to step up your game. Like, you're not bringing anything to me right now. I'm going to get rid of you, like, when we're done with the teams. And he's like, I'll cut you before I cut Bridgette. He's like, yeah, Bridgette won this HOH for me. She's always making cookies for me. So, like, he was sort of joking around, but it got, like, really awkward. And Michelle definitely was not laughing. It was just, like, fueling the fire. Like, yes, Frank, you're going to be in a shit ton of trouble next week. Possibly. So then they picked the players for the Power Veto competition. The host is Davon. And the players, we have Bridgette the HOH, 3 nominees, Paul, Tiffany, and Bronte, and 2 extra players, Paulie and Natalie. So there was a lot of speculation that this Power Veto is going to be the dice competition where they have to, like, move it around to be on a certain number on the platform or the mat, whatever. So a couple people were practicing, especially Tiffany, and I think Bridgette was practicing too with, like, soap and stuff and, like, I don't know, just, like, household objects. But then Frank and Day were in the bathroom chatting. I guess they're, like, cool now because he apologized, and Day was just like, I just gotta deal with this MFer for one more week. So then Frank brings up, he's pissed that I guess Bronte had house guest choice in the POV draw, and she chose Natalie to compete in the competition. And Frank is like, she should have picked a stronger player because now there's more of a chance that Tiffany could win because Natalie's not a great, she's not great in competition. So he's like, you know what? If Tiffany's saved by that power veto, Bronte's ass is out of here. Ah! All right, so then Frank again brings up that he would rather work with Bridgette than Michelle, and Dave's just like, all right. I don't know if Day actually feels that way. I doubt it, but she was going along with it. So they started the power veto competition. Feeds have been down for a while now. I'm not sure when they're going to come back, but when they do, we will put the winner of the competition in the info box below, so make sure you scroll down and check that out. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and until tomorrow, much love.